Yeah.
Like everybody could be building on it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's an easy thing that we could do. Yeah.
Donna, I have a question about the core values.
Uh-huh.
Do people feel more connected to headquarters even though the values have been adapted to PSI Kenya specifically? Or is it more a connection within PSI Kenya?
I think for them they see it as being the same.
Yeah.
That our core values are the same as headquarters. And our vision and mission are pretty much the same. We've just adapted it, tweaked it a little bit specific for Kenya. But yeah, they feel very connected to the network. It's a very important part of their identity. They like being part of an international organization. They like being PSI Kenya rather than SFH or something. And we asked about the connection with PSI as the network and a localization question, and pretty much 13 of the senior team said that should always be maintained, that it's an important part of PSI Kenya is being part of the wider international network. They get a lot out of it. They get lessons learned. They get support. They get NBD. They get finance support. So they see it as very much an important connection for them. They understand that possibly for sort of political or donor politics that we need to address localization, and they feel that probably in 2 to 5 years there should be a Kenyan director. Right now I'm the only non-Kenyan on the PSI Kenya platform. Innovations is separate. They have their own office. But so that's something that they see that we probably have to, we will move to. But to them it was very clear that remaining part of the network was very important. That there's a lot of value added, and it is really the differentiation we have from many other organizations. And that probably donors fund us because we do have that connection. Right? A lot of it is just distrust and corruption that's in Kenya, and so they see that being part of this network really helps them stand above many other organizations. So they do feel connected to the overall Washington network. Yeah. Any other questions, comments? It was a fun thing to do. I think for me and for Vero, the most important thing was that it was theirs. They owned it. We weren't driving it. We just said, look, we got to find a way that everyone can really, understand what these core values are, talk about it, and communicate it. And they took it and they ran with it. So for us, that was the success, is they own it. So speaking of which, currently there's the high flyer, I never remember the name of it, the high flyer reward system. And it got that name because basically the reward are air miles. And people are nominated from all departments and that sort of thing, and based on performance and achievements and that sort of thing. So after the field council meeting, there was some discussion that there needs to be some adaptation to that, and that it should probably focus on the core values of PSI. And so there's a couple people involved in revising that. And I guess I would just like to throw out to you all and hear some feedback on what might be motivating, either as the reward or how the system is set up in recognition, to acknowledge people who live the core values of PSI. I think there's a big debate of whether, does this type of thing even excite people? Do people care? I mean, our point in the field council was we couldn't even tell you what the high flyer thing was. It was just that thingy. So it didn't really mean anything. It wasn't something that, at least in the field, people strove to do. So I guess, because this is a diverse group of people, it would be nice to have some feedback that we could give to the folks in PD, and there's a couple other people on that committee that are trying to make it something that is useful.
I don't know what the High Flyer Award is.
I don't either. Does anyone?
Well,
So it's not just a Kenyan. It's not
No,
just a Kenyan,
it's PSI.
well, I
Any IS staff,
from my
international staff.
my different departments I worked with, the high flyers, you can nominate someone who has had performance beyond their normal expectations, and I know that my departments have used it to say, hey, wow, we really recognize that you put in some long hours, or you went the extra mile, or to do this. But one of the things that struck me that I liked about the high flyers was that, and I don't know if every department did this, but you were supposed to nominate a person to sit on the high flyer committee. And so anybody that came back from my department that was on the high flyer committee, they would say, that was great because I got to learn about what so-and-so did in Zambia to get they get to hear all the nominations and what they did. And by everybody going and getting to be part of the decision of who wins the high flyer, it was
I
they
think
loved that.
Yeah, I think
and
that
then they
they're
knew that.
suggesting that remains the
Yeah.
same. The committee remains the same. That it would be no one from the director level. It would be representatives from the
Yeah.
departments.